The revolution won't wait. Why Black women are building empires while the world sleeps. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Soft Girl Era, the sacred space where strong Black women unlearn survival, rediscover softness, and reclaim the joy, rest, and freedom they deserve without guilt, without apology, and without explanation. I'm your host, LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dolce, like sweet softness whispered in French. I'm your guide from burnout to boundaries, from doing to being, from strong to soft, and loving every second of it. Today, I had the extraordinary opportunity to sit down with Brianna Render, a powerhouse who is redefining what it means to build economic freedom, not just for herself, but for an entire generation of Black women who refuse to wait for permission to thrive. Brianna is a visionary, a strategist, and a truth teller who understands that our liberation is tied to our ability to create, own, and scale businesses that reflect our brilliance. She's making the world a better place by dismantling the myths that keep us small and igniting a movement that says we don't just survive, we build empires. And what Brianna shared with me, what the data is screaming at us, is this: Black women are not just participating in the economy, we are leading it. We are the fastest growing entrepreneurial force in this country, and the numbers don't lie. Between 2019 and 2024, Black women owned businesses grew by 51.2%. Let me say that again: 51.2%. That's more than 5 times faster than the 10.2% growth for other women owned businesses. 5 times faster. While the narrative has been that systemic barriers slow us down, the data reveals something entirely different. It reveals unmatched resilience, it reveals momentum, it reveals economic power that cannot, will not be ignored. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, LeAnne, we know the barriers are real. We know the funding gaps are real. We know the bias is real. And you're right. All of that is true. But here's the counterintuitive truth that Brianna helped me see: the very systems designed to exclude us have not stopped us. They have sharpened us. They have forced us to innovate, to build differently, to create tables where none existed. And that, my sisters, is the disruptive idea we need to sit with today. We've been told that entrepreneurship is risky for Black women, that we don't have access, that we don't have capital, that we don't have networks, and yet we are outpacing everyone. Employer businesses owned by Black women grew 13% from 2024 to 2025, with revenues up nearly 6%. We're not just starting side hustles, we're building companies that hire people, that generate wealth, that create legacies. We're proving self determination in a workforce that has historically undervalued us, underpaid us, and underestimated us. And the revenue is surging. Black women owned businesses saw 81% revenue growth from 2019 to 2024. 81%. We're not just opening doors, we're blowing them off the hinges. And if we close the gaps with male owned firms, we're positioned to unlock $1.7 trillion in economic value. Trillion with a T. Let that sit with you for a moment. $1.7 trillion. Dollars. That's not a dream. That's a projection based on what we're already doing. That's the table we're building. That's the future we're claiming. That's the wealth we're generating while the world is still debating whether we deserve a seat. But here's where it gets even more powerful: this isn't just about us, this is generational. Millennial and Gen Z, Black women are starting businesses at higher rates than men. They're building on a legacy of economic self reliance that stretches back to our grandmother savings clubs, to the beauty shops and catering businesses that kept our families afloat, to the multi-million-dollar enterprises we're scaling today. This is not new. This is in our DNA. We have always been builders. We have always been creators. We have always been the ones who made a way out of no way. And Brianna reminded me that this momentum is fueled by education. Black women are earning 11% of business bachelor's degrees. We're showing up in classrooms, in boardrooms, in pitch rooms, and we're saying, I belong here. I deserve this. I'm going to build this. And nobody is going to tell me otherwise. Now, let me share some stories that illustrate this power in action, stories that prove this isn't theory, it's reality. There's a man named Tristan Walker. Now, Tristan is a Black man, but his story mirrors the resilience and innovation we see in Black women entrepreneurs every single day. He founded Walker and Company, a grooming brand for men of color in Silicon Valley. He saw a gap in the market, an underserved community that needed products designed for them, not as an afterthought, not as a side note, but as the main focus. But here's the thing, he faced limited venture capital. He faced stereotypes that doubted whether Black consumer markets were even viable. People looked him in the eye and told him it wouldn't work. They told him the market was too small. They told him to pivot, to dilute his vision, to make it more palatable for investors who didn't look like him and didn't understand him. But Tristan didn't listen. He leveraged his personal network. He focused on product innovation like chemical free beard care that actually worked for Black men's skin and hair. He scaled through e commerce and partnerships, building a brand that spoke directly to the people who had been ignored by the beauty industry for decades. And in 2018, he sold Walker and Company to Procter and Gamble for $30 million. $30 million. He proved that Black consumer markets are not just viable, they are lucrative, they are powerful, they are worth investing in. He raised $34 million in funding, expanded to retail giants like Target, and pioneered inclusive beauty in an industry that had long pretended we didn't exist. His story is a testament to what happens when we refuse to accept the limitations others place on us. Then there's Regina Wallace Jones. Regina is a former Google executive who launched Harlem Capital in 2018, a venture capital firm investing in diverse founders. She saw firsthand how few Black women were getting funded. She sat in rooms where brilliant Black women pitched revolutionary ideas, only to be told, no, not now, maybe later. We're not sure there's a market for this. And she decided to do something about it. But raising funds as a Black woman in a male dominated finance world, that's no small feat. She faced underrepresentation. She faced bias. She faced closed doors and polite rejections that were really just dressed up discrimination. But Regina built a portfolio emphasizing Black and women founders. She networked through HBCU alumni and industry events. She showed up, she persisted, and by 2023, she was managing a fund of over $100 million with more than 20 investments delivering strong returns. She became the first Black woman led venture capital firm to raise an institutional fund. The she first and her impact, she's boosted funding for over 1,000 diverse startups. She's directly supporting the 13% business growth trend we're seeing among Black women. Regina is building the infrastructure that allows us to scale, that allows us to dream bigger, that allows us to access the capital we've been systematically denied. And then there's Kathy Bradley. Kathy founded Positive Vibes Only, a Houston based HR tech firm focused on diverse hiring right in the middle of the post 2020 remote work boom. She's a corporate HR veteran who saw how layoffs exposed diversity gaps, how companies talked about inclusion but didn't actually practice it. And she drew from her HBCU roots to create a solution. But scaling a tech company amid funding disparities and hiring biases in corporate America, that's a battle. That's walking into rooms where people question your expertise, your vision, your right to be there. Kathy developed AI tools for bias free recruiting. She partnered with HBCUs to create talent pipelines that connected brilliant Black professionals with companies that actually valued them. And the results? She served over 500 clients. She achieved 300% revenue growth from 2021 to 2024. 300%. She won a spot in the Techstars Accelerator. She expanded to Fortune 500 enterprise clients. And she's placed over 10,000 Black professionals in roles where they can thrive, where they can lead, where they can build wealth. Kathy's story echoes the education to business pipeline we're seeing, where Black women are earning degrees and turning that knowledge into innovation that changes industries, that disrupts systems, that creates opportunities where none existed before. These stories, these examples, they're not outliers, they're not exceptions, they're proof, they're evidence that when Black women decide to build, we don't just build for ourselves, we build for our communities, we build for the next generation, we build with purpose beyond pain, we build with vision beyond survival. And here's the part that connects to our soft girl era mission, the part that Brianna and I talked about for hours. Because building a business, scaling revenue, unlocking $1 trillion opportunities, none of that means we have to hustle ourselves into the ground. None of that means we have to wear the superwoman cape until we collapse. None of that means we have to sacrifice our peace, our joy, our softness on the altar of success. Brianna and I talked about this. We talked about how the same resilience that drives our entrepreneurial success is the resilience we need to protect our peace. How the same boundaries we set in business, saying no to bad deals, to undervalued partnerships, to opportunities that don't serve us, those are the same boundaries we need to set in our personal lives. How the same strategic thinking we use to scale companies is the same strategic thinking we need to use to scale our well being, our rest, our joy. Softness is not weakness. Softness is strategy. Softness is knowing when to rest so you can build sustainably. Softness is saying, I'm going to create this empire and I'm going to do it without sacrificing my health, my relationships, my peace of mind. Softness is refusing to let capitalism convince us that our worth is tied to our productivity, that our value is measured by how much we can endure. Because here's the truth, and this is the truth that will set us free. We've been taught that survival is strength, that grinding is noble, that rest is lazy, that saying no is selfish, that putting ourselves first is somehow a betrayal of everyone who came before us. But what if the real revolution is building wealth while protecting our well being? What if the real power is creating businesses that fund our freedom and our softness? What if the real legacy is showing the next generation that they don't have to choose between success and self love, between building empires and building peace? That's the table Brianna is building. That's the table we're all building. That's the table that will change everything. So here's my question for you today, and I want you to sit with this. I want you to feel this in your body. I want you to let this question disrupt everything you thought you knew about what's possible. What table are you building through your business, through your education, through your networks, through your vision, through your voice? What are you creating to claim the $1.7 trillion economic opportunity Black women are unlocking right now, in this moment, in this generation? I want you to start with one step, just one. Identify your underserved market. Prototype your solution this week. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Don't wait for someone to tell you you're ready. Don't wait for the funding to be easier or the systems to be fairer or the world to finally see your worth. You are ready. The data says you're ready. The momentum says you're ready. Your ancestors say you're ready. Your future says you're ready. And as you build, remember this: you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to carry the cape. You don't have to prove your worth by exhausting yourself. You can build and rest. You can scale and set boundaries. You can be soft and successful. You can be powerful and peaceful. You can be a visionary and vulnerable. You can be all of it all at once without apology. Because the soft girl era isn't about doing less, it's about doing what matters with intention, with joy, with peace. It's about redefining strength on our terms. It's about healing in real time while we build in real time. It's about protecting our peace as a practice, not as an afterthought. It's about claiming our softness as the radical act of resistance it truly is. Brianna Render reminded me that our economic power is not just about numbers on a spreadsheet, it's about legacy. It's about the businesses we build today that will employ our daughters tomorrow. It's about the wealth we create that will fund our communities for generations. It's about the softness we claim that will teach the next generation that they don't have to choose between thriving and surviving. The world taught us survival, but we're teaching ourselves softness. The world gave us barriers, but we're building empires. The world told us to wait, but we're already leading. The world said we couldn't, but we already did. 51.2% growth, 81% revenue increase, $1.7 trillion in economic value waiting to be unlocked, 13% growth in employer businesses in just 1 year. Black women earning business degrees at record rates. Millennial and Gen Zs. Black women starting businesses faster than anyone else. That's not a statistic. That's a movement. That's a revolution. That's us. That's you. So here's your call to action. And I want you to do this today, not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready, but today. Go build your table, claim your softness, protect your peace. Identify one market that needs you, one problem only you can solve, one vision only you can see. Write it down, speak it out loud, share it with one person who will hold you accountable. Take one action, however small, that moves you toward that $1.7 trillion opportunity we're unlocking together. And watch how the world shifts when Black women decide we're done surviving and ready to thrive. Watch how industries change when we stop asking for permission and start building our own tables. Watch how economies transform when we claim our softness as the source of our strength, not the denial of it. The revolution won't wait, and neither should you, because the data doesn't lie. The momentum is real, the power is ours, and the future is soft, successful, and unapologetically Black. Now go build it.